This overview of Wayside offerings will assist you in updating your Spanish and French classroom resources and materials. Engaging, proficiency-driven materials in a curated cache of authentic resources and better tools for assessment are essential for helping second language, heritage, and native-speaking learners move forward on their journey to developing proficiency. Wayside language programs are created by teacher authors who understand these classroom challenges and have created a truly proficiency-driven Spanish and French program with the tools to support teachers in their work of creating the next generation of global citizens. EntreCulturas for Spanish and EntreCultures for French are the only truly proficiency-based series for levels 1 through 3. For advanced learners, we offer the Spanish text Tejidos, a project-based title. Wayside titles are accessible in a variety of formats, in digital bundles or digital only. We have a fantastic learning management system called the Learning Site. The Learning Site is optimized for Chrome and can be accessed on desktop computers, laptops, tablets, and smartphones with its own app for iOS devices. So what makes Wayside titles different? Well, let's take a look at how Wayside titles are proficiency-driven, supporting research-based best practices for teaching for proficiency. Performance-based, incorporating assessments that focus on what learners can do. Standards-aligned, integrating the world readiness standards for learning languages. And interculturality-focused, cultivating interculturality through every aspect of the series. Wayside Publishing materials are proficiency-driven. They focus on what learners can do with language in terms of listening, speaking, reading, and writing in real-world situations in a spontaneous and non-rehearsed context. Progression through the 3 levels of EntreCulturas or EntreCultures builds language proficiency from novice low to intermediate mid via a series of performance-based tasks related to authentic print and audiovisual texts. Tejidos takes learners even further up the proficiency pathway through intermediate high to advanced low. The assessments in our program are performance-based. They assess learner performance using tasks that allow for open-ended responses, demonstrating what learners know and can do with the language across the 3 modes of communication: interpretive, interpersonal, and presentational, always pushing learners towards the next proficiency sub-level. And with the program's alignment to the proficiency guidelines, the performance descriptors, and the can-do statements, they provide the framework for each unit's essential questions, unit goals, and learning targets. And most importantly, Wayside Publishing textbooks focus on interculturality. Our texts emphasize what students can do with the language within a cultural context. As we review key features of the program, note how they link together to build learners' capacity to interact appropriately in the target language with others whose perspectives may be different from their own, whether they're from another country or native speakers in our own communities. So how does Wayside Publishing accomplish all this? Through 5 key features. Units are created using principles of backward design, beginning with essential questions and unit goals to guide student learning. Throughout each unit, authentic resources allow learners to engage in real-world tasks in all 3 modes of communication. For native speakers, the authentic resources support the continuing development of their literacy skills. Communicative and intercultural can-do statements allow learners to guide their own learning through goal setting, reflection, and self-assessment. And performance-based assessments allow learners to show what they can do with the language via summative IPAs and formative assessments. Analytic and holistic rubrics support teachers in providing timely and effective feedback. Let's take a look at these key features using examples from EntreCulturas and EntreCultures. Note, however, that most of the features are also available in Tejidos. First, each unit begins by identifying the essential questions and the unit goals that highlight what learners will know and be able to do upon completion of the unit. Content aligns with both the AP and IB global themes and subthemes, helping in the development of pre-AP and IB knowledge and skills right from the very beginning. Authentic resources in print, audio, and video formats are accompanied by authentic tasks to promote language learning and develop proficiency for both second language learners as well as native speakers. A unique resource is the video bloggers. These are not actors, but real teens from countries like Cuba, Colombia, the Dominican Republic in the Spanish series, and Quebec, Algeria, Rwanda in the French, all who use their own vocabulary and grammar that they would use with their family and friends at a normal rate of speech. This leads us to our next key feature, comprehensible input. We don't expect second language learners to understand everything that the bloggers say or to comprehend everything they read, hear, or view in any of the many available authentic resources that they will be exposed to during the course of the programs. We have learners focus on specific pieces of information that support their efforts through lots of comprehensible input and scaffolding, such as images, charts and graphs, cognates, organizers, and models. Through our approach, we build a culture of exploration, curiosity, and risk-taking. For learners who may be native speakers, this provides ample opportunity for them to continue to use their spoken language while further developing their academic language and literacy skills. Vocabulary emerges from specific resources and for specific purposes. It's introduced and applied in context through a progression of activities from the receptive to the productive modes, so from comprehensible input to comprehensible output. Along with the essential vocabulary, learners have access to additional words and phrases that challenge advanced or heritage learners to expand their vocabulary, while assisting second language learners in comprehension or even to go deeper in what they say or write in the language. Language structures and grammar are also presented and practiced in context, embedded in the authentic resources and tasks. Through a discovery approach, learners generate and test hypotheses around grammatical structures, which enables them to reach higher levels of mastery as they create their own meaning before focusing on form. Resources for this approach include both print and audiovisual texts. Let's take a look at a sample of a video that leads students in their discovery of grammar structures and rules. Here's an example from EntreCultures, our French series.
Now listen to Océane and Félix. Use a check mark to indicate if the person is bilingual, an athlete, or an artist, and an X to indicate they are not. If you are not sure, write a question mark.
Je suis bilingue. Je parle anglais et français. Et toi, tu es bilingue?
Oui, je suis bilingue aussi. Tu es athlète?
Oui, je suis cycliste. J'aime jouer au sport.
Throughout the series, learners will find communicative can-do statements that align with specific tasks. These reflect a point in the development of learners' performance in which they can show attainment of that particular learning outcome. These tasks also mimic items learners will encounter on the formative and summative assessments. In addition, there are intercultural can-do statements that provide learners a means to investigate and interact appropriately in the language while making comparisons and connections between their communities and those studied. All assessments in the program are performance-based. They focus on giving students the opportunity to demonstrate what they can do in the language by using authentic tasks and resources as a springboard for demonstrating performance in the three modes: interpretive, interpersonal, and presentational. Formative assessments allow learners and teachers to check in on progress toward achieving the learning targets. Each EntreCulturas and EntreCultures has a summative integrated performance assessment that provides tasks in each of the three modes of communication that work together to allow learners to demonstrate what they know and can do in authentic scenarios. Tejidos takes more of a project-based approach to summative assessments with the evaluación final based on authentic resources and set in the cultural context. Summative assessments come with a specific analytic rubric tailored to the three modes of communication and aligned to the ACTFL proficiency guidelines and performance descriptors. In addition, there are a variety of analytic and holistic rubrics to assess learners' progress along the way. In addition to the actual textbook, all Wayside Publishing programs have access to that online learning portfolio and course management system, the Learning Site, that we've referenced previously. The Learning Site connects teachers and learners to all the digital resources and products and is made up of the following components that flow together seamlessly. The Explorer course, the heart of the online environment with the student roster, digital content, assignments, and gradebook. The Flex Text, the online textbook with all the same layout and content as the textbook. And the online student language portfolio, in which learners can self-assess their progress toward meeting the can-do statements, upload evidence, and set goals for increasing their levels of performance. EntreCulturas, EntreCultures, and Tejidos reflect the new direction that supports our learners' growth in acquiring proficiency in Spanish and French. We welcome your inquiries and trust that you will join us in embarking on this path to proficiency.